Yeah, I mean, Darren mentions the fact that we can have an off day. One player that doesn't seem to have an off day is Erling Haaland, ripping it up yet again as Manchester City make it 4 wins out of 4. He's got 9 goals in 4 games. It's a bit ominous, isn't it, for the rest of the league?
I mean, he is an absolute phenomenon. I think he scored something like 99 goals in 103 games for Manchester City. I'm not sure I've ever seen numbers like that before in the top flight of English football. And I remember a time when players like Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo were putting up the same kind of numbers in Spanish football. And people were saying, yes, they are incredible players, but this is La Liga. You wouldn't be able to put up these kind of numbers in the Premier League. Yet, fast forward a few years, and this is exactly what Erling Haaland is doing. I saw him a couple of weeks ago when City played at Chelsea, and he looks stronger, fitter, bigger, fresher, and more deadly than ever. And a couple of people in and around City were saying that has to do with the fact that he had the summer off. Norway didn't play in the Euros, so he's had the rest. He's been working on his fitness, and I think he's going to go down in history as possibly the greatest ever striker to play in English football. Certainly if he carries on scoring at the rate he's scoring at, and also picking up as many trophies as City have been picking up in the past few years.
I remember when he first came on the scene, we were sort of debating how many goals he would get. It feels like this season he's going to get even more than he ever has so far. It feels like that. This is kind of quite a ridiculous start to the season. And he's also had a really difficult week as well. So it's this performance comes off the back of a really emotional week for him.
Yeah, he was 75%. There was a feeling that he wasn't going to play ahead of the game because his family had lost a very close friend of his father, who was almost like an uncle to Erling. And a decision was taken very late that he would play. But in the context, to be able to turn up and do what he does best so brilliantly, it was outstanding. He should have become the first player in Premier League history to get 3 consecutive hat-tricks in as many games. And he would have done but for the width of the post. He hit the post and he had another opportunity late on in the game as well. And the numbers are insane. Carvey's right. As people who observe the game, we are seeing something we have never seen before in Premier League history. And it may well even be football history. 99 goals for City in 103 games. I think Sergio Aguero scored 260 goals in 390 games. I mean, it will be a few seasons, probably 2 or 3 seasons before Haaland beats that record. And I think the context, as Carvey was saying, was all important. Even when he was ripping it up for Dortmund, people said very disparagingly, Farmers League, the German league, and they were very unfair and unkind about the German league. But he is scoring more goals here in a so-called it's not so-called, it is a more competitive league than the German league. He's better, he's faster, he's fitter, he's fresher. We were joking before the international break that it was almost like a Marvel origin story because he was chopping wood with his dad while everybody else was at the European Championship.
4.
But, yeah, exactly, 4.
Yeah.
But he is a superhero of a striker. And the best thing about him is his attitude is first class. You know, he does the dirty stuff as well. His movement's outstanding. He is going to be a player that we write about for many, many years to come in the highest of terms, in the most glowing of terms.
I love the fact that yesterday when he does score, the Brentford players are sort of like, oh, he's offside. No, he's just not offside because he just turns it to perfection, doesn't he? He doesn't get offside. The hearing starts tomorrow for Manchester City, doesn't it, between the Premier League and Manchester City. Just explain to those that are kind of interested to know what's going to happen here. What are we likely to hear and not hear during this?
Well, we are not going to hear anything.
Oh, OK. Right, let's move on then. OK.
We're going to hear absolutely nothing.
Right.
I mean, obviously, we're going to be talking a lot, especially tomorrow, about the fact that the hearing is finally going to start. But it is one of the things that is really, really frustrating is that this hearing is going to be done in secret, is going to be behind closed doors. We won't know where it is. We don't know how long it's going to last. We think it's probably going to last about 10 weeks. The Premier League's rules say that in these kind of cases, all the Premier League has to do is put up a statement on their website when a club has been charged. That is what we've got. And then the next time we're going to hear anything from the Premier League is when they put a statement on their website saying what the verdict of this hearing is. Now, there is going to be a real information vacuum, but a lot of the evidence that has been presented in past financial fair play cases involving Manchester City has been leaked. It was obtained by a Portuguese hacker. You can see it on the internet if you want to have a look at it. Of course, Manchester City say that they've done nothing wrong, that the hacker is basically a criminal. He has been convicted in a Portuguese court of trying to extort money from a football finance fund. So, I mean, it is a very complicated case, but why can't we be there? Why can't there be journalists in the room, reporting on what is going on inside so that people would be aware? And
so what's the answer to that? Why can't?
Well, it's the Premier League's rules. If you look at the Premier League's rules, it says that, these hearings are done in private, and that is the way things are handled. And the clubs have come up with these rules, and the clubs have signed up to the rules. And I've seen this being described as football's trial of the century. It's not really a trial. It's not at the Old Bailey. It's not at Southwark Crown Court. This is an independent commission, and is being held because allegedly Manchester City have broken the Premier League's financial rules. But the short answer to your question is, what are we going to hear tomorrow? We're going to hear a lot of discussion about, the case for the prosecution, the case for the defence, what the charges are. But in actual fact, over the next 10 weeks, months, until we get a verdict, we are going to be in an information vacuum.
And just as an aside with that, I don't know if that suits either party, because when there isn't any information, people draw their own conclusions, and they put information that might not be accurate into the ether, and then suddenly you're discussing something that goes so far away from reality. It's unfair. And the other thing is, there is a wider public interest, because this affects other clubs in the Premier League. It affects fans who've got their own financial investment in the Premier League. So there is a really strong case for it to be made public, and with the whole issue being a lack of transparency, to have as much as possible would, you would imagine, be as helpful to both.
Guardiola, it was a good lesson. Pep Guardiola believes his team enjoyed some good fortune in the 2-1 win over Brentford on Saturday. The Blues were behind inside the first minute against the Bees, but for at least one excellent save by Ederson, the defending Premier League champions could have fallen further behind. But a brace from the prolific Erling Haaland ensured City's 100% record was maintained. It's important we don't drop points. It's a good lesson, said Guardiola. We were lucky with the deflection Erling scored. The players know it. That's why at halftime I didn't say anything. There will be a lot of surprises with this number of games, and one day we are going to drop points. With a really tough game, we survived, and with our mentality we adjusted. We did really well with our process to find the right moments. The boss was also asked if he had any thoughts on the new Champions League format. City begin this season's European campaign at home to Inter on Wednesday, but Pep says he hasn't any thoughts on the new look UCL. I've no opinion, he said. They decide to do this. UEFA decide this. We want to be there, so we will play that format. There are more games, but it is what it is. What can we do? On Wednesday, we play the best team in Italy, then on Sunday we play best contender of last 2 seasons. Then Tuesday another game. We have an academy. We have to adapt. I like to play Champions League, so we are going to play. Watch part 2 of Pep's post-match press conference by playing the video above. Dickhoff Haaland is the world's best striker. Paul Dickhoff says Erling Haaland is showing his best form yet for City. The Norwegian striker already has 9 goals from our opening 4 Premier League games and has moved on to 99 for the Blues in all competitions. His brace of goals against Brentford helped the Blues recover from a goal down to win 2-1. And club legend Dickhoff believes our number 9 is in the form of his life. He looks super sharp and super confident, more than he ever has done, said Dickhoff. He looks mentally and physically so good. It's not luck that he was there in the right place at the right time. His 2 finishes were fantastic. The first one is instinctive. He always hits the target, and it's through repetition. He'll do that 40 or 50 times a week in training. And he was so clever for the second goal, nudging Pinnock because he's not goal side and then he's away. His touch and dink are just fantastic. He's the best striker in the world. Dickhoff also highlighted the perhaps unheralded aspects to Haaland's game, with his power, speed and strength often creating goal-scoring chances when there seems to be little opportunity. It's the first touch that sets himself up 9 times out of 10, and that's as important as the finish, said Dickhoff. Erling's hold-up play has been fantastic. He is always set. He's not swinging at the ball off balance. He's always in control, but I have to add for the second goal that I think Ederson now has more assists than I got in my career. I'm not sure Erling will be happy with some of the top saves the Brentford keeper made to deny him a hat-trick, though. We played really well after halftime and squeezed the life out of Brentford in the second half. They just didn't have any space at all. Tactically, at halftime it looked as though we sat down and sorted it, really got on the front foot and pressed them.